You're tuning in to Past Our Prime,
a show powered by Squad Locker.
Here are your hosts, retired Astros minor league star Tip Fairchild and former Patriots All-Pro center Dan Copen.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the program. Past Our Prime, episode 13. Tip thought we should switch or just move past episode 13 because
Oh, I'm not a superstitious
superstition.
Person,
Elevators, hotel floors don't have that. No
13 tile
in an airplane.
Sometimes,
so,
right? Yep.
Our super producer Max said it's not possible by
iTunes.
We're not doing it.
Okay.
Like, subscribe, rate, review while we're at it at Past Our Prime Show. I'm Tip. He's Dan.
Look at you getting in there.
That's what you normally say, but I like that.
We got some things to come. Get to.
Oh, we do.
And but first, last week, Tip shared with everybody his three biggest fears.
I did.
One was spiders.
Which is, I have arachnophobia. Like, you can't even, like, when I turn on the TV at night and it's just playing, the only movie that ever comes on when I wake up in the middle of the night, it's like arachnophobia is on. It's like always on.
John Candy?
John Candy? No, I won't even watch a second of it.
Being fat, which you're trying to work on.
Fat.
Looking fat.
Being fat is okay.
And cold water.
Yeah, and cold water.
Which you're going to get next week.
Maybe. We'll see.
So, I mean, we're flirting with like the trifecta right now. Well, so yesterday, we were with the wives, and Tip expressed these fears to everybody. Well, lo and behold,
you found something.
My wife is sitting in bed last night, and she's on Facebook or whatever, and then she just literally screams and jumps out of the bed. And it makes me jump, too, because I don't know what the hell is going on. So I jump a little bit, and then she shows me, which I already know something's coming, so I don't jump at that. But what's her first reaction? What's her first thought?
Somehow she thought of me.
Send this to Tip.
Let me explain from here.
Yeah, it was. I just sent it on a Facebook message to Tip. It was like I just said, "Get a load of this shit" or something like that.
You got me.
So now you can. Yeah. I wanted to be a fly on that wall. Yeah. And I just wanted to watch it. Or what I should have done, we should have called your wife.
Yeah, I said record it.
And hey, just pop in there.
I feel like this is going to happen again, so you'll have plenty of time for that. But he sends me a thing. It has a mask. I open it up. I'm watching the video, and I'm just, super calm, relaxed. I'm like sitting on the couch, and this spider like jumps out at you.
At the end.
Like kind of like those videos where a baseball, like somebody foul tips a baseball and it hits a screen, it like makes you jump. And when I say that I jumped, it was like one of those where I thought the thing was legit real. Like my phone went flying. It was bad. I did like the karate chop move. I was like, get away. It was scary. So
the best part is I was just texting you. I was like, hey, check your Facebook. Amber found something, and then you texted back on the Facebook. Yeah. I was like, we laughed about that for probably about a good 45 minutes.
Yeah, I was
just random laughing in bed out loud, thinking of what was happening.
I'm glad I could help. That scared me half to death for sure.
If it was a snake, I would have jumped.
Yep.
Snake is my spider thing.
I have a story, Max.
Oh, jeez.
Do tell.
Dan and I, we both, we belong at nice golf courses, nice country clubs. We play, and we go to a simulator and have a good time yesterday evening. We're leaving. We check in with our names, right? Dan has a name. I have a name. Check in with a name. The attendant there in the bag room, or in the one of the pros, the assistant pros, like one of the kids working there this summer,
probably the intern,
for the year, intern, whatever it is. So comes out. So at the end, we're leaving. He says, "Hey, are you Tip from Maine?" By the way, Dan Copen's name is on the list. My name's on. He goes, "Are you Tip from Maine?" I was like, "Yeah." It's like, I'm from Maine. He's like, yeah, you play for the Astros? Like, this thing? Gave the whole song and dance, all right? Gave the whole song and dance. Meanwhile, Dan's with me. Couldn't have worked out better, Max. It was, it was the star aspect. It was like, I felt so good.
I'm glad you felt good.
I felt
great. I felt great for you. And I felt
It
great
was
for me
all- it
because
was
that's
perfect.
that's how I want to live.
You want to live low
I just
key.
want
You wanna live low
to
key.
go. I want to hit some golf balls,
Yeah.
and I want to go home.
I just thought it was an hilarious
I'm
turn
glad.
of events.
I'm glad. And
it was a big turn of events.
Max, just for your reference, he's not a professional baseball player. So going to one of his camps that he said he went to, it didn't really work
here
out
we
well
go.
for him.
Yeah, that's true. That's
So-
true.
And I'm
He
sure
might-
you got that all the time.
I tell you though,
You're
he
sick of it.
might be a professional golfer though. He looks like a stick, so we're gonna have to bring him out
He's
and
much
play.
better than us.
So that was the last couple days for us. This is the technology episode though, so we got a lot of technology.
And we
coming.
got KD for
Yep.
the inner circle and really any circle other than that. He goes by KD, Kevin Davidson,
Yep.
from Baseballcloud, who's a good friend of yours. So
Yeah,
I'll let
played
you,
with him with the Astros. He's a Baseballcloud. Now he went from baseball to finance. He was working with a lot of the guys,
yep.
as a money manager, and then got into the data side of analytics, which couldn't have been at a better time. They're in 24 out of 30 something teams in the MLB, tons of NCAA stuff. So we got a cool interview with him, and it's really taking all this technology that we see, and it's going to change the way that you're watching baseball games with. It could even be based on betting. You're going to see spin rates and all this stuff. They have Ball R that just dropped. So we'll get into the interview with it. But technology is massive right now in a lot of things. The golf simulator game, right? I mean, how great is that to be able to do
It's
in the
awesome.
winter when you live up here? It's incredible.
When,
it's getting better and better.
How many years have they been doing that?
I think there was early technology with this stuff that, you'd hit into a screen and you would just see different flight, right?
Right.
Like you'd see flight, you'd know distances. But now it's like, you go play a golf course.
Oh, and there's a lot of them too.
Oh, yeah. It's
We
like,
played Muirfield.
We did.
We didn't do very good.
We did not. We got.
Some of that wasn't our fault.
No,
they have the TrackMan behind it, right? And
Yep.
I don't know if that was dialed in correctly. You can check the
It's- well, I mean,
Instagram
it's-
thing. The swing is not where
I
it
put it
should
up
be
on.
right
I put
now.
it up on the Instagram. You guys can check
It
it,
was-
out. Well, actually, it was a story, so we'll repost that, Max.
It's the first swing in a long time.
By the way, though, you look skinny.
That's the goal right there.
You look skinny.
That's the goal.
I think we both looked skinny up there because where's the mile count, Max? Do you have the mile count?
Do you want to do that now or do you want to wait?
Well, let's
tease it.
just say it.
Yeah.
Let's just say it, and then we'll come back into it.
It's February. It's right around. It's February 23rd. This will
Yeah.
be released on the 25th.
I still have plenty of time.
You don't have plenty of time.
As of today, February 23rd at 2:36 p.m. when we're recording, our numbers are Dan. You should know our numbers are Tip 768.2,
It's a lot of miles.
768.2 miles.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a lot of miles.
That's a lot of miles.
That's a ton of miles for anybody that doesn't know.
My motto this whole month was every mile counts.
Yep. Okay.
And then Dan's
I just want to see the face.
Dan's is 957.4.
Yeah.
957.
It's a big number. Yeah, it's a big number. It's going to be
43 miles short of 1,000.
Well, at the pace that I'm at, which is say I go 18 miles an hour, right? Could be higher sometimes on some different rides. Could be slightly lower, but usually 18, I would say. I have 9 hours, 9.5 hours. Dan has a 9.5 hour head start.
When I'm still pedaling.
Yeah, while he's still going. He is a worthy competitor. I've said this before on the show. It is going to be tough, but I'm never out of the fight. I'm never out of the fight, Max. Until I'm mathematically eliminated, I'm not out of the fight.
See, you say that, but there's been chinks in your armor.
Yeah, definitely. There has been.
On Sunday, just give you an example.
Yeah.
On Sunday, I said, I'm going to try and break you to my wife. I was like, I'm going to try and break him today. So I went on in the morning and got my miles on. And then I actually went somewhere and then came back. I was like, I'm going back on the bike. And I think I was on the bike before
I got on with you.
I got on with you.
I challenged you the whole day.
But when you can video chat on the bikes, that was a look of defeat by you when you popped up, and it was basically like, I can't believe you're on here right now. I thought I was going to catch something.
I thought I was going to grab like 15 miles right then, and then ride again that night and keep just keep the pace on. He's not going to break me though. That comment, he's not going to.
Cold.
I'll go till the end.
You're gonna go into cold water. That's where the end is.
I'm not necessarily looking forward to that if that is the case. But
It's
I'm
fair
never out of the
fight.
fight. It's a fair fight. Yep, it's a fair fight. Well, it's not a fair fight, but it's fine.
Now the excuses come out.
No,
now,
it's not.
Hey.
No, I mean,
Hey, I just get a Peloton. Hey, I want to ride. Yeah, every mile. Let's do it.
It's
Let's do a
amazing.
mileage challenge. And then you're the one who sets the bet on jumping in the ocean. I'm just the one saying, okay, let's do it.
You're tough. You're a tough competitor. There's no question. So,
But next time he goes to the golf simulator, the guy's going to be like, hey, you're the guy that jumped into the ocean.
yeah, that's true. That could be my bigger claim to fame.
How cold was it?
It was. I will tell you that when I just left the office yesterday, I went outside and just got in my car, and I was like, "Woo!" I gave like a verbal, and it was like 38. It's not even that cold. And then I was like, imagine if I didn't have any clothes on right now. And then I was like, imagine if I had to be in the water. There was a lot of things going on that I was nervous about. So
For the record, the water temperature at Narragansett Town Beach today is 39 degrees.
it's coming up.
I was hoping. No, it's
coming
not
up.
coming up. What are you talking
Sweltering.
about? It's coming up. I thought it would have been 35.
Okay.
Damn it. 40,
It's going to
40
be cold.
degrees.
It's
But
going to be cold.
Speaking of the golf, I mean, living up here in the Northeast, for us, there was never a place to go in the winter. So the fact that you can go to these places, now they're coming out with bars.
Oh yeah, it's all over the place. It's great to be able to swing. It's not my favorite to like hit off mats, but it's not terrible. It's great. So like you're able to
Especially
do
when
it.
you
You're able
haven't
to
swung in
swing exactly
3
So
months or whatever it is now.
It's coming up more and more. The technology is outrageous. We're in the technology space with Squad Locker, so like we like how this world is shifting to be like, hey, you're doing this on your phone. Squad Locker, we're shipping direct to home. We're making it easier for people to buy uniforms. They're making it easier for people to golf. We get the Whoop band.
Yes.
So Dan bought the Whoop band.
I did.
Immediately sent me his referral code link. Like, get me a free month. Buy this thing.
If it's free, I want 3.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So I got it. Mine's not in yet. This is kind of like is this going to take 8 weeks the Peloton or
No.
5 days?
No. I think it took about 7 days.
Perfect.
No, I actually got it when you talked about it, but I got it specifically for this challenge because
Yeah.
I want to know what the recovery is. I want to know what the strain is, and I like technology, right?
Yeah.
Like the Bluetooth or whatever. I got a great watch.
I want one sign in for everything, but besides that,
That's why. Yeah, but that's why you just use the same password
I know.
over and over.
I know.
And
Well, then
over
when you
again.
get hacked, then somebody has your entire life. But yeah, I got you.
That if they want the entire life, they
Password
probably,
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, what kind of an idiot has that? So I got a Garmin, the Garmin Phoenix, like 6X watch. Love the watch. Used to change into a nicer watch when I went out or whatever. Now I just leave this on all the time. But it's kind of bulky, right? It does the heart rate, it does the steps. If you're, working out, whether you're in water or on land, you're good to go. Yoga doesn't really matter. And it does the sleep, I think, but it's so bulky. And when you're in bed,
Yo, that's a big
you know what I
watch
mean?
on
It's
your
just
wrist.
like it gets caught
on the
pillow, sheets,
stomach sleeper?
comforter. No,
I'm a side guy.
no, I can't. My back.
So you lay on your back?
No, I can't lay on my back, or else my wife will just absolutely.
The saw and the logs.
Occasionally, there's some snoring going on. Maybe more so after a few beverages.
Yeah, gotcha.
So mainly a side sleeper, lower back not good, and shoulders. My arms and hands go numb at some point if I'm on my back or on my stomach. So side sleeper, but I usually end up on my back. She ends up throwing pillows and shoes and
kicking
shit at me.
So you
But I got the watch.
Yeah.
The watch is great. I love the watch, but I wanted the sleep component because she's a big Fitbit person and like checks her sleep. Like, I
checks
got
the stats.
and she's not a very good sleeper, which is a problem. And we hope that gets better. But sleep score. If I'm going to be at my peak performance,
85%
whatever it
recovery.
is, whatever it is, I need it this month. So I did it. I pulled the trigger, and I love it.
Yeah, I'm excited to get mine because I'm interested to increase my sleep. Like I want to understand. Like I'm a 6-hour person. I usually have been, but maybe I'm a 7-hour person. Maybe I'm an 8-hour person. I got to figure this out a little bit more because I want to see what my
based on
recovery is.
the good thing about this thing is it's based on your activity and recovery. So let's say, I think for the Whoop numbers, let's say anywhere from 10 to a 14.9. That's a moderate to heavy workload for the day, right? We're in this challenge. I've been pedaling 2 to 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
every day.
It's so terrible.
I've only had it going for 5 days now, or whatever. Every one's been like 14.9 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's been high. It's been strenuous. Mm-hmm. So today I actually now it's calculated in my sleep. It takes like 3 or 4 days for your sleep to sort of catch on to you.
Yep.
Now it's like, okay, you've been working at 14.9 strain. Mm-hmm. Now is the day to sort of back off a little bit. It tells you what you want to shoot for.
Which is wild that it does that. I don't know how it works. Again, I don't know how.
Just want you to know, did I back
KD's
off?
program
Did
works.
I back off?
Oh, you didn't back off.
No.
Yeah.
I did 1 more mile than you did last night.
I know. That's what sucks about this whole challenge because I can't catch up to him because he does it during the day and then I try to run him down at night and then he starts again in the morning and then I usually try to start a little bit in the morning, but he goes longer, so it's not working, but I'm never out of the fight. So
you're out of the fight.
Technology, though. So we're through a few things. We did golf simulators. We did Whoop. We got KD's thing. We got Squad Locker. We got all this stuff. I'm also watching Game of Thrones to go back to an age that there was no technology.
Yeah, how was that technology?
No, that's what I'm saying. There's no technology there, but it's amazing that I'm able to watch this though while riding the Peloton. And I was thinking,
you're pedaling slow.
What I was thinking was, what if we lived in those times? Was that a real time? And like, I'm confused still. There's a lot of characters. Max is a huge Game of Thrones person. He doesn't even watch TV. Dan told me I had to watch it.
You have to.
He's like, you have to. I was not into it the first 3 episodes. It's bloody. It's gory. There's a lot going on. Now I'm kind of addicted to it, so I'm going to blow through it.
You have to. Max, did you watch it?
Yeah, just
live?
stop it.
Did you watch it live or did you binge it?
I got caught up at season 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there 7 or 8?
8, but
so
8 sucks.
we caught it. 7 was going on, so we binged till 7 and then watched the last one live. Actually, timing wise for us, it worked out pretty good.
And there's a lot of good quotes in this thing, which is I'm a quote person too. I write them down. I actually Slack them to myself. Slack, another technology bought by Salesforce, another great technology episode. Lots of big things going on.
You're the guy who comes in here and is like, hey, use this video camera, use this tripod.
A tripod's not technology.
Oh, hey,
thank
you set up this room.
They said when you play the Game of Thrones, you either win or you die. There's no middle ground. And I just changed the word Game of Thrones to the game of Peloton.
Yeah, you're already dead, though.
That's what's happening. So, and then you said
man
come
wait.
back
Dead
with
man
your
walking.
shield or on it from 300.
From 300, that's a good one.
But that's what I'm watching now. There's a lot going on with that. Dan, I do have a surprise for you I'd like to show you real-time live. I'm going to show it to you live, so you can maybe remove one headphone. I do have a, you can listen, and we'll play it.
Technology, what headphones do you like?
Well, the Beats Pro working out, and then I use the Bose 700C for the office. That incredible noise canceling. Yeah. Technology. We should.
When somebody
how many
calls
things
you-
are we going to be able to tag in this episode, Max? Like this is free ad city right now. But when I want to get
see, this is messed up. This is messed up.
We have a guest coming up probably next week. Peloton instructor.
It's going to be after you go in.
Dan.
Whenever we can't do the first. We were going to do the first. My daughter's birthday is the first. So we can't do that. I'm going to be a good dad. Mm-hmm. But whenever we can get him on, it's going to be after you go in the water.
Okay, that's a good idea. I like that.
This is messed up.
He has a message for you, and I'm going to play it for you live right now. So
you have to tell us who it is.
Yeah,
it's Christian Vandeveld, right?
Yeah.
Is it E at the end?
Vandeveld.
Okay. Pro cyclist, Peloton instructor,
Tour de
on the
France.
postal team, Tour de France, like as high class of a cyclist as you possibly can be.
He's an analyst on NBC.
Analyst on NBC.
Yeah, for cycling.
He had a special.
He's a friend of mine.
Friend of Dan's.
And you did this.
and then I just sieged the castle here. Like I'm in Game of Thrones mode.
Dan, I know you've been in this challenge. It's the February Mile Challenge. And now I hear that you've just been doing low impact. So you're just kind of sandbagging. You're pussyfooting around a little bit, dude. That's not your style. You can't be just in it to win. I know you're a competitor and all that, but you got to do a little intensity here and there. You know, just going around, chilling at 200 watts or 150, whatever you're doing, just hours and hours and hours, it's not going to get you anywhere, buddy. Go and do some high impact rides. Go and push yourself once in a while. You feel better for it, bro. Come on. You're already in the lead. You don't have to win by hundreds of miles. You just have to win by like a mile. That's all that really counts. Look forward to speaking to you very soon. Can't wait for the podcast, dude. Looking forward. Miss you, buddy. I know you a beer. Take care.
That's wrong. How much did he charge you for that?
Well,
I hope he charged you $1,000 for that.
it wasn't that expensive, but
Christian, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the message, but this is about miles.
Yeah.
Miles. And if you want to talk about what you did last night, all right, this is bullshit. Let's go.
I know.
All right.
Easy ride.
Tip.
Yeah.
Tip did 70 minutes last night.
Yeah.
He did 20 miles.
Yeah. I was going easy. I was cruising.
70 minutes equals an hour and 10 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I should have done 24 miles probably. But I was taking
You were
my
watching
time.
Game of Thrones. That's
I
fine.
was.
You were,
I was
you were
doing
low
40,
impact. You were doing your.
42.
You just wanted miles.
I was. But
I did.
You know.
I did a 10. I did.
What was that?
This morning. I did a
impossible.
10-minute warm up. I did a 30-minute sweat steady with Jess King. By the way,
I heard that's hard.
Holy shit!
Yeah, I heard that's hard.
I was drenched.
Yeah.
After 10 minutes of it with the warm up and all that stuff. That thing is nonstop. That's not low impact. That was tough.
Okay.
And then I did a 10-minute low impact just to get a few more miles. And then I did a cool down. 21 miles in 60 minutes.
Yeah, if I do the hard rides, it's exactly what happens too. Last night I had to go easy.
When we have gone head to head,
You've beat me.
every time.
No, we haven't done it though in about 10 days, and I know I'm feeling pretty strong.
Yeah.
I'd like to go
You
head
just
to head
told
right
me
now.
You just told me outside you might ride 10 miles tonight because your legs hurt so much.
My legs do hurt right now, but I you know what? When you get on there, there's a couple things. You have the legs feed the wolves. That's a quote from The Miracle. And these legs are getting built, and like I'm ready. I'm going to outskate him.
I hope you wear your 3-inch inseam
Short shorts.
swim trunks
Prevents the
on March
chafing.
2nd
Yeah, it's
in
coming.
the Atlantic Ocean.
It's coming.
That's messed up that you got the
I got the
cameo
message
from
for
Christian.
it.
How much you pay for it?
I can't tell you. They can.
How much of that did you write?
I wrote a chunk of it. I wrote a chunk of it. I did
Just
write a
a
chunk
little
of it.
small piece.
But I thought it was perfect. I did look for Kendall. She's not on Cameo. We need to get her on Cameo because like that is an all-timer, Max. We need to somehow make that happen. That'd be
Cameo,
great.
not past our prime.
No, Cameo the app. You know, well, we
He
got to get her.
he just wants
past our
something
prime
personal.
on-
He wants something personal.
Yeah, we get her on an interview. That'd be great. I mean, that'd be a great podcast guest. We do have a team of the week.
Oh, but
We'll cover it at the end.
just on
for us.
Christian though.
Yeah.
If I've done a bunch of his
I'm about
rides.
to do a ride of his tonight.
Oh, dude, get ready.
They're not that high rated. They're like 9. They're a 9.
They are tough. Like
Yeah.
when you like the
He wears his actual biking stuff sometimes. I saw.
like on a flat.
He wears like the zip, like the shirt.
Oh,
like the
yeah.
tight shirt.
No, sometimes he does.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
And then he wears the Peloton.
And
stuff
then when he's
once
on
in
the
a while.
flat road or whatever, it's like up to 90 and whatever it is.
Oh.
There's like no rest.
I'm not looking forward to it.
It's
I'm
not-
going to do one tonight. I'll do one tonight. So
You
we
might
have
get more than
content for
10
it.
miles in then tonight.
Well, we'll see.
You need
I might go
190.
easy.
So
I'll catch you.
keep going.
Team of the week coming up after the episode. Stay tuned for that. We got a nice one again. The KD episode is what I'm calling this one. Kevin Davidson, technology master with baseball. I don't know how, but I mean, this guy's got his business that they're doing that is going to change how you watch the game. And spring training.
I mean, yeah.
Spring training started, so it's perfect time. We're going to start smashing.
Pitchers and catchers are
Yep.
down there.
Yep, Mike King,
Is
who
it
we had
bad
as an
that-
interview on. I just saw he's down there with the Yankees.
Does
He's doing his thing.
that like get you excited for the season?
I like it. I like when it's cool when people start talking about people reporting. It's one of the times of the year that I feel like bad about not playing. There's only 2 times.
Oh my
this
God.
time-
Completely different.
Yeah, opposite for training camp.
opposites.
No, because spring training is great. It's like you're going back. You're down in Florida, especially when you live in like a cold area place, right?
Yeah.
You're going down to Florida. You're
Where
bringing
was
your golf
Houston? Was
clubs.
it in Florida?
Yeah, we were in Kissimmee. They're in West Palm now.
Okay.
So you go down. You're gonna stay. You know, you're gonna see all your buddies again. You're gonna go play golf every day. You're gonna work out. Like it's like, hey, I'm back. I remember going down there and just being like a ghost because I'd be up in Maine for the whole winter or
Is it like
whatever.
baseball summer camp?
It's yeah.
That's what it sounds
Sounds
like.
like it.
for
Sounds
grown
like
men. Yeah, for grown men.
Sounds like a fun time.
Yeah, so like, but then I'd go out there and run in the outfield, and my calves the first week would be so burnt that it would feel like they were going to explode. They'd just be like as red as these squares behind us.
No
And then
sunscreen?
you put it on, but still, like, I mean, you're out there all day, and I've been stuck in Maine in the winter. It's
poor-
like your
poor
skin's
baby.
not ready.
Oh, you've
So-
been out there all day.
Yeah. So spring training, the KD interview coming up, team of the week after. technology episode.
You love the word.
Let's go to the interview.
You love the word.
Yeah, let's go to the interview. Okay. Our guest today, 6-year career, 6.5, right? I guess we could call it 6.5-year career with the Astros.
6.5, might as well round up to 7.
We'll round up to 7. 28th round out of Rollins College. Now, one of the most tech-savvy people that I know with baseball, which is wild to think because he's an all-time clubhouse guy. We've got Kevin Davidson today. So, KD, what's going on? We're calling you KD because I think that's what we've called you forever. What's happening? How you doing?
What's up, guys? Not much. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's good to be on. I've been watching since you guys started this whole deal. And,
it's pretty popular. It's pretty popular
wild.
right now.
You're one of the 9 people that's been tuning in, so we appreciate that. And
so what you're doing is going to get a lot of attention right now.
Oh yeah, tons of attention, and we expect you to push this to your network because it could be larger than ours. That's
I'm sure it is.
Ideally, right? So we've got some stuff for you here, KD. Like I mentioned, you're a big-time clubhouse guy, played for a bunch. We played together. Never on the same team, Dan, right? So, but I do have a story to start us off, okay? And you're not going to remember this, but somebody like me would, all right? So, 2007, I blow my elbow in half, right?
Yep.
Come back, spring training next year, starting to throw off the mound in spring training. First bullpen I threw back, again, 65 miles an hour, 75 miles an hour at this time, was to KD. I remember specifically because I was like, I knew I didn't feel great yet. It was early on, coming off of Tommy John. Something about your glove, though. You're a big pop guy. Something about the glove. The ball's not going very fast to him, but it's like hitting the mitt like real well. Bang, snap. I come out of that bullpen, I'm like, man, I'm throwing like 95 miles an hour. So I remember that about you, KD, and I know. We were around the same time playing through the minor leagues and everything, but we never were on the same team. But that specific bullpen, I was like, this guy's got to catch me because I know that I didn't have a lot of gas in the tank. But man, was he popping that mitt?
Can you do that to a mitt? Do something to make that sound?
Oh, tell us.
No, it's. I wouldn't say you do something to it, but you got to remember, I'm 5'7". I was a 28th rounder. So the last thing I am is a prospect. So when you're a kind of guy like me going to Pro Bowl, you got to be able to dominate the things that you can dominate. So for me, receiving and catching a ball where I gave the pitcher confidence and really presented the ball well, and I took a lot of pride in that because I could take all the pride I wanted to in hitting, but it wouldn't have mattered.
You're a big pat on the ass guy. If somebody was going to say, hey, who gave you the best pat on the ass? Guarantee it's KD. Good pat on the ass guy. No question.
Those guys stick around a little bit.
Absolutely. And the other thing with catchers, and you guys were always up in big league camp all the time during that time because they always needed bodies up there. And I know that people like throwing to you. So you were up there. Most of the time that I was in camp, KD, which was from, I got drafted in 05, so a couple years after you. And you were always up in with the big boys. Catching Oswald, Clemens, like all those guys when they were there. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that was probably one of the many perks of being a catcher because you were always that extra body, and they in big league camp they can never have too many bodies behind the plate catching. I remember my first invite to big league camp. I was all excited and I was fired up, and you just get to be around the guys, and it was always a cool experience. And ultimately you realize that you're just like the third string bullpen catcher. So you're like, all right, this sucks. But then you get the meal money for the day. And then moving forward, you're just excited because when you get that big league meal money for the day, you're going to be set for the week. Yeah. I remember when I spent the whole spring training in 2017 in big league camp. And I made more money in big league camp than I did my entire season, just in spring training.
That's amazing.
So
what's the per diem? What was it? Well, this is where Dan and I are different, right? The per diem, in the NFL, these guys get all the perks. They're getting all the stuff. What was per diem then? I can't remember when you were in big league camp. It was actually pretty decent, where you were like, okay, this is for real.
Yeah. Well, I remember when you used to get per diem in the minor leagues, and it was like Perkins or like $8 a day.
Oh, it was Ponderosa.
Hey, well, that's a buffet right there.
Ponderosa, Red Lobster.
You're gonna get your money's worth.
And then Pollo Loco. Well, that was across the street from the hotel.
I will never in my life ever eat at one of those 3 places again. I've become scarred living in that place for 7 years. Yep. Great food and it served the purpose, but And you get travel money to go to spring training. But I remember like the travel money to go to spring training in the minor leagues was maybe $150, $200. Big league camp, it was like $1,600. It's equivalent to like a first class
flight.
Round trip ticket.
Yep.
And then the meal money, I want to say I could be maybe $120, $130 a day, plus then the lodging for it. They pay you money to be able to house yourself and get an apartment. Well, I live in Orlando, and our spring training was 45 minutes down the road. Well, I was so poor, I told them I was living somewhere, collected the money, but I was driving 45 minutes an hour every day to spring training but staying at my buddy's couch.
We all played that game. I remember getting travel money to drive to Corpus Christi one time and being like, I'm just going to save this. I'm going to sleep in my truck tonight.
All day.
Like going from Florida, I remember stopping at there was a riverboat casino in La Berge or something, wherever it was. I remember just like stopping in the parking lot and being like, I only need to sleep for like 4 hours, so I'm just gonna crash in the car. So we've been in the same place. We've saved a lot of those travel money and meal money dollars that were sent to us for sure.
There's definitely an art to it.
Oh yeah. Who's the one guy in camp throughout your career that you just love catching for? Besides Tip, we all know Tip.
Well, I only threw one bullpen to him.
He probably loved it. You threw it 65
I was
miles
lobbing
an hour.
it to him.
He was having a corned beef sandwich waiting for it to come in.
I would say the guy that I just loved catching for, he was so nasty. He was very difficult to catch when he wasn't on. He wasn't always on, but I think I caught him. I think looking back, if I had to look in my career, I probably caught him 3 or 4 times more than I caught anybody else, was Matt Albers. I came up with him. He was a 4-pitch guy, 94, 97, kind of slung it at 3/4. Ball, his 2-seam moved better than any 2-seam I'd ever seen. His slider was the best slider I'd ever seen. His 4-seam fastball was great. And he just pitched with intensity. And when he and I got on the same page and he was dialed in, he was fun to catch. He was really, really fun to catch.
Catching those guys over and over again, like, do you just know where their pitch is going? And then on top of that, when it doesn't go there, are you just pissed?
No, that's what the minor leagues are for. Because in the minor leagues, they're there because they don't know where their pitch is going. But really, you just tend to know when they're throwing the pitch where they're supposed to, or when they're going to have a day where they're not going to. So when they're not throwing it where they're supposed to, you end up taking on a hockey goalie mentality. When they are locked in and they are throwing where they need to be, you just get settled in and it's just, you're putting your head down on the ground, you're putting numbers down, you're flowing. It's an art. It's probably the thing I miss the most about baseball. Was that art of catching and being in a rhythm with your pitcher and taking pride and going to the bench and talking about the next 3 hitters or talking about his stuff. That's the fun part, but sometimes you definitely got in hockey goalie mode.
I had most of my time I was with either J.R. Tolles. I had Kobe Clemens for a while, who caught me a lot, in a lot of games, and Lou Santangelo for a bit. Jeff Macker. So Dan was.
I went to BC.
Macker
so I went with
BC together.
To school with Jeff.
Yeah. So, but with a good catcher, one of the goals that I used to try to do, like when I was pitching well, wherever it would be. And I remember J.R. told us, I'd be like, let's get out of this inning in like 8 minutes. I'd sit on the bench and be like, let's see how fast we can do this. Let's get out of here in 5 minutes. Let's try to get through my 7 innings because in the minors they're not really stretching you, obviously. So it was like you're on pitch count. So, but if you didn't even hit pitch count, they'd still pull you after 7. I used to be like, let's get through 7 without them even turning the lights on yet. Let's go as fast as we can. That was always like a good relationship that I had with JR then and a couple other guys. And, there is like a serious bond between pitcher and catcher. And It's usually, though, only on game day. Because, like, the 4 days in between, all the ball busting and everything going on, there's like your start. We've talked about the clicks, the starting pitchers, the bullpen. Who are the clicks for you, KD? Like you were with some interesting groups. So we've got some names that we can fire out that we probably got to be careful of. But and he'll be on soon. But we've got the McKellers of the world, the Englebrooks of the world, and you've got a lot of others, I'm sure. So who'd you hang out with? What were some of the things you did that is legal to talk about? How were some of the times in the clubhouse?
Man, you're asking me the most difficult question possible as far as what I'm allowed to share about those human beings. My group, when I look at that, I had my 3 guys. I mean, Josh Mickey was always Josh was my roommate for 2 years. Rory Shortell was my guy. He was my roommate in spring training every year. And then Matt Albers, who was with me from day one. He was my locker mate right when I first reported to spring training. Then you have the guys like Chance Douglas or Mitch Talbots.
Oh, Chance Douglas, the all-time master of burning CDs for everybody or DVDs for bus trips for $4.
Man,
he ran a full-time business out of spring training, out of his spring training hotel room for everybody.
He did, man. Well, you know what? I mean, he did because back then that was the modern day technology. You know, that was what you needed, and only certain people had that skill set. And if you either had that skill set or that piece of equipment, you couldn't produce that business. And and as you see technology evolve today to what it is now, but it's funny. I mean, I haven't thought about that stuff since being in the moment on that. But the minor leagues, it's fun. I mean, my favorite Matt Albert story was, and it's a great story for the minor leagues. We were going from Corpus Christi we were going from Springfield, Missouri to Midland, Texas. And we left Springfield on a Wednesday night to drive to Midland, Texas, which I want to say is probably 11, 12-hour bus ride. It's one of the longer bus rides in the Texas League. And we get about halfway through and our bus breaks down. And you're stuck. I mean, it's the middle of Texas in the summer. We're all hot, sweaty. They're talking about bringing on a new bus. You know, we're out there for 4 or 5 hours, like sweating. And it's 4 in the morning. And it's totally minor league story. I mean, it's exactly
everybody has this story somewhere else in the Texas League on a highway somewhere. This happens everywhere, right?
It's the same story, just different lens.
Yep.
And I remember we finally get our new bus and we're driving to the ballpark and we're about 2 hours away, 3 hours away. 7:00 game. They were not going to cancel it because it was Thirsty Thursday, and Thirsty Thursday for Midland, Texas was a big draw,
big time,
and
huge.
Matt Albers was starting that night. And I was starting catching that night, and Dave Clark made the bus pull over and made everybody in the starting lineup grab their bag with their uniform on it, get dressed on the bus, because we weren't going to get there till 6:00, 6:15 at night, and the game started at 7.
So this is terrible. This is a terrible story. I know how this feels.
Getting up and doing stretching and calisthenics on the bus.
A little stretch.
So I'm in full uni. I have my shin guards on. I'm like stretching my quads in the middle aisle of the bus, leaning all the way back just to get stretched, stretching my arm. Albers is doing all of his band stuff and everything else. And we walk off the bus, it's 6:15, 6:20, and we go straight to the outfield to start warming up. And our team kind of walks out and we go out, and Albers throws, I think he threw like 7 2/3 innings, shutout, gave up like 2 hits, had like 12 punch outs. And it was just it was prototypical Matt Albers. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was just, he just rolled out of the bus, had his uniform on, didn't care what he looked like. Just, he probably did 2 stretches and then rolled out and just dealt.
Max, we got to throw in a picture of Matt Albers into this, because prototypical Matt Albers is like what you wouldn't think a finely tuned like machine on the mound would be. But how he pitched for like 10 years in the big leagues, right? I mean, he was on the Red Sox for a while. He was all over the place for a while, and he just like lengthened that career out.
He had a great career, and he is the definition of what a pitcher does not look like.
Yes.
And I don't mean that in any negative way. Matt Albers is Matt Albers. Mm-hmm. He's just naturally gifted, and he's an extreme competitor. I mean, the guy competes his butt off, and he's not going to win the work ethic game. He's not going to win the outthink you game. He's going to just win the I'm just going to beat you game. Yep.
And he was talented. He could throw it. I remember being in elite camp at one time with him, and when he was down in Houston working out, and he was. And then you see him on TV, and you're like, how did this guy get there? He has a talent, but like in terms of like what they necessarily are looking for, like we said, where like you look like the 6'5" starting pitcher, first round guy, all this and that. He wasn't, but I mean, I'm sure he's just kind of probably hanging out now.
You gotta have the will.
Guess. You're looking for the one contract.
I'm sure he's hanging
you're
out.
looking for the one contract. That's right.
I've got this from Tip's perspective on beating a guy. Does it come from the catcher on when it happens? And I mean, what's going on in your head?
Such a Dan football question.
Oh, I love
he loves this question.
People.
He thinks that's like
what makes you want to bean somebody, and what's your best one?
Oh man, my best one is probably my favorite minor league story. But as far as who it comes from, it just depends. I mean, sometimes
Could he look at you the
both on
wrong
same
way?
page.
Yeah.
Well, it's just it's a feeling. It's that kind of feel. You just kind of know. There's a variety of different stories or circumstances or chain of events that could lead to it. It could be just from the guys just dominating you and doing well, or the guys just a clown and you just don't like the way he plays and he's showing you up, or something's kind of falling in line on that. But I remember Vladimir Ballantyne in Corpus Christi. He went 4 for 4 off us. And his first 4 at bats, he hit 4 bombs. So he's 4 bombs. And I remember that night.
There's already grounds for punishment on this. Like, yeah, you're getting hit on this one.
Yeah, and I wasn't catching. J.R. House was catching that night. But J.R. was telling me he was trying to get these guys to hit him, but nobody did it. So the next day, or that night, Clarkie comes in and he flips over a table and he's pissed that, we didn't try to stand him up or we didn't stand up for our teammates. And he just made a big statement. So I was catching that night, or the next day. It was a Sunday day game. We go through we're on the road. We're in San Antonio. We go 3 up, 3 down. Vladimir Ballantyne sitting third. We get the first 2 outs. Then Blake Allen's pitching. First pitch, fastball in, drill him. All benches clear. I mean, the benches did not clear. Everybody came out. There was a lot of talking going on, everything else. And next thing you know, we get to the next inning. John Fagan's leading off. First pitch hits him right in the back. Well, when that happened, I still had I hit 8th or 9th or something like that. So I kept my shin guards on. When John Fagan went up to plate, I put my helmet on and my mask on and my shin guards on, because I'm thinking we're gonna brawl. Something's gonna happen. So first pitch, I was prepared. I mean, so first pitch hits Fagan in the back, and we all just sprint out, and it was just melee. I mean, it was probably I've been a part of a few of those, but it was one of those brawls that would have made if technology and information was disseminated like it is today, it would have been everywhere.
Somebody's got that on video somewhere, though.
It's hanging out somewhere. There's a video of this somewhere for sure.
It does. Here's the best part about the story is that team, they had this guy named Sebastian Boucher on their team, a left-handed hitter. And at the time, they were the Seattle Mariners. Sebastian Boucher was probably 40% of the way done through the year, was hitting 110. He was a leadoff hitter, and he wasn't performing very well. He's easy out. Hit with a wet newspaper, never worried about him. I was hitting like 340 at the time. So I remember on the bottom of the pile and people were taking us off each other. And I remember telling him how bad he was. I told him he didn't even belong in this league because he's only hitting 140, because I just knew those stats as a catcher. Yep. Come to find, toward the end of the year comes around, I hit 160, he hit 340.
Yeah, flip-flop. The next fight, it was different. Yeah.
What's the next fight? But only he and I know that story.
Yeah.
Or he and I kind of comprehend that. But I followed that along once I opened my big mouth and was running my mouth about that. And that's when I learned in baseball. It's a humbling sport.
What's the sign for being in somebody? Is it what we think it is?
Oh, yeah, it is. It's usually just a head nod. Well, usually talking about it the inning before.
Do you have to give a sign?
You don't have to. If you usually talk about it the inning before, but I mean, KD might have had a different way to do it, but I kind of knew when it was coming. I knew when the catcher wanted something, or when the manager did. It depends, but I mean, it's an unwritten rule. Dan, what's your answer on that, KD?
Yeah, I mean, there was times where you knew going into a game that you might, and then you would give a certain sign to that pitcher. What that was, whether it's thumb pointing towards the pitcher, whether it's pointer finger, or for the most part, you talked about it in the dugout. Hey, if you get these first 2 guys out, first pitch, we're smoking the guy in the back. Or if there's a man on second, 1 out, yes, but man on first, we'll call it a wash. We'll move on to the next day.
Yeah, you're planning this like sometimes months in advance.
I think this might be my favorite baseball topic.
Yeah, it is. It is your favorite. It's not. Dan wants to think that it's like middle finger down and that's like a movie, but it's just not. It's not. It's not exactly how that works. But
that gets you in trouble now.
It does. Hey, this is the transition of a lifetime right now, though, because I'm about to roll in from all this. Being on the bottom of the pile. Being a guy that's like, a grinder catcher like this. Now you're running and started maybe one of the most incredible technology companies that I've seen in sports. Like just watching the stuff that you guys have, and we'll plug some of this stuff in, Max, so we can see it. But I mean, what you're doing with Baseballcloud, like the Ball R thing that you have, like we're going to talk about this for a little bit here because there's a lot. How did you get to do this? first of all, I know you did something right when you were done playing first for a while, and now you're in this heavy, but I mean, everything you're doing is incredible with this, and I know it's a massive topic now, and Dan and I kind of go through this, analytics thing, and like whether you're watching tape or you're looking at charts, it's not what it was, when we were playing. Like, I saw a heat map once in a while, right? I mean, I have a notebook that I still have that I used to sit in the stands and jot down like some notes on some people as to like what I could do to like get guys out. Run us through this. How did you get to do this? And first of all, how does your brain able to handle this? Because I didn't think that you had this type of brain, but I guess you do.
Baseballcloud. Baseballcloud, right?
Baseballcloud. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I don't have this brain. That's the interesting part about it, and quite honestly, I kind of believe that that's going to be the part that leads us to the promised land with this information. Is I don't have the technology brain. I have a baseball brain, and for me, I learned about this whole revolution happening because it kind of on accident. I was never a data guy. I never believed in it. Never understood it. It was already here. After we'd already been out of the game, and then looking back on it, you realize that the day in the age of, Moneyball and what everybody knows as data and analytics, that was actually like statistical analytics.
Right.
Now what's happening is there's just technology coming into the marketplace and creating data analytics. Right. And it's basically putting in objective analysis to so many different facets of the game to help you understand what and why you are doing. And we're in this whole big revolution with the game. But prior to being in Baseballcloud and being in technology, when I got done with baseball, I went into the financial advising world. So I ended up building a business over 13 years. And, I was very fortunate. I made a great business. I represented over 30 major league players. I had some really, really big names, guys that, were, superstars of today. And as a result of that, I just started kind of diving into what's getting them paid and how is their contract working and why are certain guys getting paid and certain guys are not. And it was with Jose Bautista going through like his whole kind of contract negotiation and seeing the Blue Jays treat him a certain way and not pay him. They were really referencing a lot of times the data, how his data was declining. And ultimately what happened at that point for me was Major League Baseball just for the very first time had data to validate why you should not sign a guy to a contract at a certain age, because it's not that the average guys decline because of their batting average or their home runs decline. It's because their bat speed slows down or they don't hit the ball as hard. They're not as strong. There's a turning point for everybody, and they just went in and said, "Hey, this is why you're not hitting 330 anymore or hitting 45 home runs." And because you started declining on this objective information, the likelihood of you being able to increase your strength again as age goes on, or increase your speed, or increase your bat angle, or bat speed, whatever it is very unlikely. So you've already started that downward trajectory. Yep. So, no more. So it was that time I called a guy named Wes Johnson, who I got a chance to know because I was coaching in a college summer league. I was the head coach, and I was recruiting my team, and I was kicking the crap out of all these coaches. I was winning the league. I had the most wins of all these coaches, and these guys were all doing this full time. But I was in a suit and tie all day, but going out and coaching, a 50-game schedule, 6 days a week, some of the best college players in the country. So I got a chance to know all these coaches. Well, I knew this guy, Wes Johnson, knew about this data. He really integrated it. And I got on a call with him and he was showing me all this stuff, and he was showing me this massive spreadsheet. And I'm like, Wes, that's not what I'm talking about. I want the data. He goes, Kev, this is the data. That was the time for me that showed me how dumb I am at doing this, is that was data, but what makes it useful is software. So the ability to take this information, data is just information on a spreadsheet. So when you hear the term data, every one of these devices that captures whatever the heck they're capturing, they're just giving it to you on a spreadsheet, every single one of them. Well, then I said, well, why don't you have something to make it useful? And he said, well, I have to make that myself. So that's when I just went down this rat race of understanding data and saying, man, what's going on right now is this technology revolution. Is you can't have data unless you have technology. So this new technology was capturing all this cool stuff, very, very valuable stuff. And nobody knew what to do with it. It ended up at the time, I was kind of starting all this before it became popular on social media, with everybody, talking about these launch angle drills. The launch angle revolution and spin rate revolution kind of happened about a year after I started the company. And it allowed me to say, everybody's blaming the data because these coaches are using this information poorly. It's not the data's fault. Right. It's the people, it's the bad coaches' fault. Because before data and before technology, you and I, we had a lot of bad coaches. But guess what we didn't have? They didn't have technology and they didn't have social media to expose them. So now you get the double-edged whammy on that is, why does this information get a bad name? Well, it's because everybody thinks it's they look at it and they think it's a philosophy. And data is not a philosophy, okay? Data is the information. The philosophy you want to create off of the data, that's up to you. That's where the problem lies. Because when I look back at my playing career, and everything we do, I always go back and say, how would I use this and how would this make me better? But, as a smaller guy, I believe data is going to be the key to unlock create a lot more big leaguers, because it's going to allow them to, everybody thinks it's going to overcomplicate it. I think it's going to simplify it, because when I was trying to figure out whatever stance I wanted to create I needed to create more power. I needed to hit the ball harder. I needed to hit less fly balls to right field, whatever it would be. How do I know what stance is going to be the best one for that? How do I know where my hand should be? How should I know what my thought process should be? Well, that's all. You can now objectively capture that information. And if you could, then let's do it and say, rather than search around trying to find different things, well, what you're doing well, what it looks like when you're doing well. And then when it goes sideways, it's going to be a clear sign of what you're doing poorly.
So you think
it's going to be that easy?
You think Major League Baseball was just using it as contract negotiation, like a bargaining chip at first, and not really saying, "Hey, here's bringing this to the coach, and we're going to try and get this guy better. Bring this, we're going to try and get the team better and get more wins." And they're just starting out like, "Hey, all right, you're going down or you're going up.
Yeah,
we're going to give you the money."
Nobody's able to prove it, really, or
were they using it to make their players better? And then at that point, and with your idea, you're just like, I'm going to bring this mainstream, and this can actually be a tool for people to use.
Yeah, well, first I'll say the number one premise and the number one focus, and it's going to always be our focus, and it's always going to be our mission, is to help players get better. Like that is my mission at my core, and we want to control the variables of it. But to answer your question of how they were using it, remember the first time they started using this stuff, they didn't know how or why they were using it. They were just using it. And in order to and that's always the first step of applying new technology to something, because you can't know how to use something until you know what it means. So then at the end of the day, as they started using this information, they were going in and saying, okay, well, what are correlations to success? So a good example, the more data that you have, the more meaningful you can make it. Well, the first thing and the biggest example I always use is the whole vertical movement number or the whole spin rate number, like just that storyline. Well, basically, in a nutshell, and it's a little bit more complicated than this, but not really, if you have a high spin rate and a high vertical movement number, those are the guys that the old school guys would say they have a sneaky fastball. Okay, if you have a low spin rate, low vertical movement, those are the guys that you say throw a heavy ball. Well, the guys that have the high spin rate, high vertical movement, those guys get a lot more swing and misses up in the zone than the guys with low numbers. Well, I didn't know that. How the hell do you know that?
No, it was. I remember Felipe Paulino.
I didn't know that either.
Right, Felipe Paulino. You probably know that name, Katie. Right, threw like 98 miles an hour. It was the softest 98 miles an hour in the world. It was like an 80 mile an hour fastball, right? But then you had somebody, and I mean, if I threw 90. Right? Like I was like kind of like, I'd hit a little bit higher than that once in a while. But if I was throwing 89, 90, that was when I was at my best, because it was a heavy like ball down in the zone, moving a lot. So, but those are the only terms that we use, right? Like you said, Katie, it was like, hey, why is this fastball so light? And why does this guy get shelled? Or why is this guy throwing 88 and gets everybody out? Like that was kind of how nobody had an idea. And this was 2007, 8, right? It wasn't that long ago.
Yep.
Right, so yeah, that makes a ton of sense, and you explained it well with there's statistical data, right, which is kind of the Moneyball thing that you and I talk about, and then there's like you're talking about these spin rates. Is that the most common one, Katie? Is spin rate just like blowing everything else away? Is it what's the most common thing that people are using, Baseballcloud, or saying, hey, like, how do I get this information? Like, this is what I need, or what do people want the most out of you guys?
It's honestly, this is what I'd say has been the biggest opportunity and or the biggest challenge for us, is that there's no one common metric that anybody has us focus on. Is everybody's running their own rat race on this stuff. And everybody's looking at it from many different lenses. But ultimately what ends up happening is the more data that you accumulate, and it's kind of the position that we've been very, very fortunate to put ourselves in, is the more data you accumulate, the more and the easier it is to say what to do with it. Because if it's great that, I have a 6-year-old son, but I think about if I was a parent and my son was 13 years old and he threw a bullpen and somebody came up and said, hey, your son throws 92 and he has a 2,200 spin rate and a 20 vertical movement number. Well, I'd say, well, great, 92 sounds good. The other numbers, I don't know what the hell they mean.
Know what that means. Yeah, I mean, I have trouble knowing what that means.
He's explaining things very well, but he's saying terms and rates and all that stuff. I'm just sitting here shaking my head like, yep, I know what that is. I know exactly what that is.
So 2,200 spin rate, like, talk to us about like an all-star big leaguer right now, like, because we hear about this a bunch that watch a lot of baseball, but like, what's a big spin rate that's out there? Like, what are Jazz trying to get to? What's the reach?
Well, and that's what makes data so fun, and that's what makes Baseballcloud so valuable, because it's not one data metric, or it's not one thing.
Yep.
It's you got to have the whole story, because a guy with a high spin rate on a curveball, that all that means is that he has a high spin rate. That's all. But now then you start diving in deeper to say, okay, guys with that kind of spin rate, this is, if you have all these other characteristics, that has proven to not have success. Or guys that have this spin rate, if you're going to have that spin rate, it has to move this much, or throwing in this part of the zone only, because if you throw it in this part of the zone, you're going to have a lot of success, but if you miss, you're going to get hammered. Well, that's data to say, hey, I got a curveball that's high risk, high reward. That's all that means. And knowing that, and what kind of pitcher do you want to become, and just helping you apply that information. I mean, there's so many simple ways to use it, but there's a lot of very, very complex ways to use it. And I think Major League Baseball they had a journey ahead of them, is that they can only use it in the way that they had to take it step by step. They could not use it for player development until they actually knew what it meant.
Right.
Well, the only way that they knew what it meant was to capture a ton of it. So you have to go through this like awkward, it's like dating stage with something. But then you have idiots out there that try to accelerate the learning curve of being experts after, using it for a year. And then they start teaching you to, step in a bucket,
let's put the elbow way out. Yeah, doing something that's crazy. Like, I've seen a ton of it.
Try to throw a banana, whatever the hell it is. I mean, it's nuts. But okay, and I look at it and say, tell me that drill, show me the data of what it's helping you do.
Yeah.
That's all I care.
That makes a lot
I'm
of
not going to say that throwing that banana is going to be bad, but you better prove it to me that how many people have gotten better and what have they gotten better at from throwing that damn banana.
We've talked a lot about the different mentality of players nowadays from when we played, and what they're into, how they learn, what they respond to. I think the popularity of baseball isn't what it was in the past.
Right.
Mm-hmm. From a fan perspective, how can this change that? And obviously, maybe this, now they're looking at stuff from the game instantly from an iPad.
Yep.
So I could see how it could bring back players to the game.
I think
can it bring the fans back?
I think Dan might be asking, how do we eventually bet on this stuff? Real time data.
He's got a 3,800 RPMs.
How are we able to? Is there going to be live betting on this eventually someday? Right? But no, that's a good question.
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
and the answer to that question is yes. And I'm going to tell you the two biggest. I'd probably say the two biggest elements and variables of what I'm betting on and where I see Baseballcloud going is twofold. Is gambling. The two most important words that anybody has to understand about the future of baseball and or all these other sports. It's gambling and data monetization to the players. Because pretty soon here, the data is now going to be used as just like a musician's albums or songs. Mm-hmm. Is now you're going to be able to see a player's or purchase a player or access a player's data and compare it to yourselves. Compare it to you. You can see what Mike Trout does, how he moves, what his bat speed is, what it is at a Division I level, what it is at a Division II level. I think data, when it's all shapes out, is going to have the biggest impact on accelerating and growing the game from a player and family perspective of understanding who they are. Because I think as a coach in the amateur world for 12 or 13, 14 years, listen, I have a 6-year-old. We're delusional about our kids. We are. We look at our kids. We're not properly equipped to evaluate our own kids. That should be a law.
Yep.
You got to be able to. We're not going to objectively assess our kids' ability. Period. I have not met one parent that can do that. Yep. So if you can properly do it and accurately do it without a parent getting mad at you, thinking that you don't like their kid, when you just say, "Hey, I'm sorry, your kid's not a D1 player. He's a D2 player." Yep. Well, I can't tell. If I say that to a parent, they wouldn't talk to me forever. It's like I'm shaming them. Yep. What's wrong with that? That's where. But now you can show them and say, "Hey,
this is where they stack up. This is where the numbers stack up.
Yep. That's it. Yep. It's going to solve. It's going to help that side and that's going to offset the negative effects that it has, especially as people get settled in and start understanding how to use this information. I mean, we got to look at the world, and we take for granted how fast technology is going. And I saw a post on Twitter the other day, and it showed a guy who was highlighting and showing what his emails looked like 6 years ago or 7 years ago. I would have thought that user interface of the email dashboard that he was on was from 1989.
I know,
it was from like 6 years ago.
I've seen this stuff.
But
yeah.
because we look at technology every day and the evolution of how we accept and see our emails, you forget how archaic some of that stuff was. Yep. And some of the, I mean, hell, 6 years ago, being able to do this interview like this, that was like, what?
Yeah.
I actually didn't know Zoom existed until COVID. So,
well, yeah. Well, Dan's been able to hang out for a few years without having to use much technology. So now he's getting back into the game of like having an email. So when Dan gets an email or two a day, it's a big day for you. That's a big day.
It's a big workload.
So who uses this technology now, like right now? And then how do we find you guys, right? Like how do we find what you're doing? Who's going to use it? And go from there. Tell us who uses it.
Yeah, so right now, our core customer base is we have 23 major league organizations using our technology and various elements of it. Some of them use all of it. Some of them use a few snapshots of it. In college, in the 2020 season, there was 153 colleges in the country, baseball and softball, that have what I call in-game data capturing. 151 of them are using our product. Now, with the latest release of, as you mentioned, Baller and PitchR, that is going to be essentially our way of opening up, what the same product, much easier to use, much simpler interface, the ability just to store where your fingerprints are. That's going to all be disclosed and opened up to the amateur high school market. If anybody's looking for any information, it's baseballcloud.com. And really, we do most of our content, most of our information on Twitter, which is at BaseballCloud US.
Awesome.
But it's an exciting time. It's fun, man. It's fun. Yeah. The game's getting ready to change.
My last question
that's
on this.
That's some cool stuff.
We have two last questions. I mean, this stuff is unbelievable, and I can't believe I'm more impressed that you're doing this, right? Like, this is coming from your brain. So, and I didn't know you that well, Katie, but I'm like, when I first started talking to you a little while ago about this and seeing what you're doing on like LinkedIn and everything, I'm like, wait a minute, is he like repping this, or is this something that he created? This is your thing. So, is there another sport coming too? Are there other sports? I know baseball, softball. Can you do this with soccer? Can you do this with football? Like, I don't know if the other sports are there yet.
Spin rate on a football when you throw it, I think it'd probably be pretty similar.
You can do this at every sport. It's going to be done at every sport. Yep. Currently, we're looking at expanding our product line to another sport. I can't say at this time what sport it is, but it's not tennis, but it's another very technologically advanced sport and how they're using this information. It's actually the sport that really I should have launched it with from day one, but I didn't know the sport well enough. But we've been approached recently about bringing this into the other sport.
If we guess, will you tell us?
I already know the sport he's talking about. He's basically
it's pretty
he's self-explanatory
here. The golf, obviously. Yeah. So for us, it's about we've been to the point where me and my partner, partner Joe Slayman and I have self-funded this whole thing. We've been approached countless times from the investment perspective. We just haven't been willing to. We haven't had the need to do that so far. But I think based on all the demand and all the opportunities that are coming across our pathway now, the time is right. We're going to start exploring some of those options here soon, but it is applicable to other sports. And I definitely see it being, if you have a child that's, 7 to 8 years old or younger, it's just going to be the world that they grow up on. I mean, It's just the facts of the matter.
Totally agree.
My son knows how to use my iPad better than I do.
Totally agree with you there. Softball question, last one, easy one here. Favorite Gatorade color, KD? This is the last. We ask everybody.
He's
this.
definitely not going to say G2. I know that.
I'm gonna say orange.
Okay, all right. So Dan's a red guy, I'm a yellow guy. So we'll take orange. That's you're a normal person.
I'm
with
not
an
a yellow
orange
guy.
answer.
I'm not a yellow guy.
Okay.
See,
now we can throw
Katie
him
and
out,
I are on the same page on that.
Hey, congrats, man. This is awesome. Like, you're doing some cool stuff that is, I know, huge in the world, and you're a leader in it. So it's amazing to see. So I appreciate you coming on, chatting. We'll throw some stuff up at Max, so that people can connect on it, and we'll talk to you soon, man. I'm sure we'll have you back. Once you launch the next sport, I'm sure we'll have you back. We're ready for that.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks, Tip.
Thanks, KD.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it.
All right, KD.
Thanks, man. See ya.
Take care.
Okay, we said there's going to be a team of the week. We've got one. Tuckahoe Sports. They actually have a couple different teams involved in, so this is an indoor baseball softball facility. They're down in Virginia. All right, they've got the Mid-Atlantic Orioles, both baseball and softball, and they got the Lady Titans, both baseball and softball. I love these type of organizations, and your son's involved with some indoor baseball, some travel baseball stuff right now, and that's what I was always involved with. I would always go down on Sunday nights and hit down in Portland, Maine, with my buddies, and then that was the only time you did baseball stuff during the winter. Usually, I looked at their facility.
We just went into batting cages, but
yeah, batting cage. Yeah,
stuff has changed.
Their facility.
I'm sure they are just
their
top
facility
rate,
is unbelievable. The building looks beautiful. They're a Squad Locker customer. Looking to move towards being able to have an easier way to provide direct to home uniforms as well, which is great. We're making them team of the week. One of our salespeople here is working with them. We want to help support them, support their coaching staff.
Well,
we love that they're playing.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, right, Dan?
That it is. It's huge right now. These kids have been through enough this year, and the fact that they can go, especially to a place like this or any other place wherever you live, strongly suggest safely, but strongly suggest them getting back out and playing sports and being around their friends and. Just from the mental aspect of it, that's huge. And
I just
hey, maybe they're going to listen to this too. And hey, KD might, what KD has
exactly.
is that
might be what they want. That's dialed in with it. I would, encourage teams to keep reaching out with us on this. It's so exciting to just hear that they're going into seasons.
Yeah,
we went through a year where people were postponing, trying to scrap things together. It's great to have this stuff. So I actually ran the score clock the other night.
Send us messages.
Game. Yeah, send them in. Send them into the.
Send us videos of some great plays or great games or
absolutely.
Whatever it is. Let us take a look at it and hopefully we can get to you and get a shout out to you.
Tuckahoe Sports, you guys got it. So it's coming your way.
Congrats.
Past Our Prime is brought to you by Squad Locker. Squad Locker is your one-stop shop for custom team apparel delivered right to your front door. Learn more by visiting squadlocker.com.